Okay, welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, we're visiting this matter that has been on for a while. In fact, perhaps you may remember, you've been reading about this since 2011, happening in Benue State. Tiv and Fulani Herdsmen clashing time and again. But sometimes you just don't understand how these things happen. Well, to shed some light on the goings-on, Cletus Akwaya joins us from our studios in Abuja. He is the Senior Special Advisor to the Governor of Benue on Media. Morning, and thank you for joining us today on Sunrise Daily. Well, we reading through some of this, and even while the report went out on our station time and again, lots of people just can't place it, how this eventually happens, especially when you see time and again lots of people involved, deaths recorded, comments from the governor. What's going on with this?
Thank you, Chamberlain, and thank you, channels, for this opportunity to shed light on what is happening in Benue State, especially with regards to the persistent clashes between the farmers and the Fulani Herdsmen. As you know, the Fulani Herdsmen do their business by grazing cattle, and oftentimes the cattle find themselves in the farmlands, and they come into contact with the farmers, and this most times triggers violent reactions, especially the farmers when they have their crop destroyed. They engage the herdsmen, and the herdsmen, as they look for greener pastures for their cattle, it oftentimes brings the two groups into clashes. This has been on in the last 3 years, and it has caused damages of monumental proportions. It's very unfortunate that we have had to contend with this situation, which has led to destruction of property, which has led to massive killings, which has led to massive dislocation of the populations, especially around the border local governments between Benue and Nasarawa states. And this has been of great concern to the government of Benue State.
Give us this background. I mean, how did this all start? I mean, yes, we know that actions and reactions are equal and opposite. Something must have triggered this. What is it?
Yes, as I said, the Fulanis and the Tivs have a historic relationship of friendship. And oftentimes you meet the Tiv people meet Fulanis, they crack jokes about who is the senior brother. They have historically regarded themselves as brothers. Unfortunately, in the last 3 years or so, the clashes have become persistent as there has been an upsurge in the movement of the Fulani Herdsmen right into the territories around the Benue River. This has triggered, as I said earlier, violent reactions, and it's difficult to say, but these Fulanis that come in, which has led to the situation we have at hand, are different from the Fulani herdsmen that used to be very friendly with the host communities. What we used to have were Fulanis coming with their family members, coming with children, coming with their wives, and settling down and coexisting with the host communities and grazing their cattle. But what we have now are Fulani herdsmen that are coming without members of their families. They are heavily armed with very sophisticated weapons and are ready to open fire, even sometimes without provocation. The situation we have is that you have the herdsmen invade villages and communities, most times late in the night or sometimes in the dawn. And in the early dawn attacks, most people are caught unawares, leading to mass killings, mass destruction of not just farmlands, but also households and settlements and communities. So it is difficult to say that really these are the traditional Fulanis we know. We are inclined to think that these people might be just some people coming in from some neighboring countries where we have had situation of crisis or political turmoil, and they may have been finding themselves into the country and coming down the Benue Valley where the pastures are very rich and there is available water for the cattle to graze. So we think that this is the source of this problem. But Governor Susam has done quite a wonderful job in trying to contain the situation. He has tried to engage all the stakeholders, even within the state and within the country as a whole. Not long ago, he invited His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, to come to Benue State, and he invited all the leaders of the Fulani communities to engage with His Eminence. And His Eminence was very helpful in trying to appeal with the Fulani community to see reason to coexist peacefully with members of the host communities. Secondly, Governor Susum has also engaged his counterpart, the governor of Nasarawa State, and trying to make sure that the two governors find a common solution to this problem. They have held meetings, they have set up joint peace committees to ensure that there's monitoring along the borders of the two states, and also to ensure that those who foment trouble, those who hide under this unfortunate situation to perpetrate crime, are brought to book, they're identified, and possibly prosecuted. But unfortunately, these attacks, as I said earlier, come sometimes at dawn, sometimes late into the night, and as soon as the damage has been done, the invaders beat a retreat and recede into neighboring territories. And it's difficult to find them because they don't come on the normal ways or highways. Don't forget that these are nomadic people, so they come through pathways that are right in the jungle, and are therefore very difficult to trace. What Governor Susum has done is he has sought and obtained the cooperation of the Nigerian Army and the police, and has constituted a task force which is now monitoring most of the crisis-prone communities.
Could you tell us then, because we imagine that both governors of Benue and Nasarawa are privy to security reports concerning how all of this happens. And we also imagine that, look, this grazing has been going on for a while. Then once upon a time, there wasn't this much clash between both of them, both groups. Is it difficult, or how difficult is it to have designated grazing areas for them?
Yes, I think the issue of having designated grazing areas is one that has been discussed at various fora. I'm aware that this has been discussed at the level of the National Economic Council, where the governor of Adamawa State was requested by his colleagues, and he presented a proposal. This proposal is being studied by government at the federal level, and I believe at the appropriate time a decision will be taken on this. But in Benue, we are fully in support of having designated grazing areas for the Fulani Herdsmen, and indeed other herdsmen to do their business, because we need them as much as we need the farmers as well. But we have to coexist in a manner that everybody will have the opportunity to do his business without any let or hindrance. The situation as it is now has led to the displacement of thief herdsmen, farmers, and this is posing a threat to food supply, because the local government areas of Makudi, Guma, Agatu, that lie at the border where this and Gwe West, where these clashes have been taking place, constitute a farming hub in Benue State, where most of the food is produced. And in the last 3 years, no single farming activity has taken place in any of these 4 local governments I have mentioned, because of the fact that thousands and thousands of farmers have been displaced. Most of them have found homestays in the city of Makudi, the capital, where they don't have anybody to attend to them. This is a very unfortunate situation, and as I said, that's affected agricultural productivity in these local government areas.
Let me comment
with regards to the issue of
Mr. Akwaya, a moment here, just allow me to comment. Yes. Because I know definitely we have it's a two-side story now. We haven't actually heard from the Fulanis who would also want to have their representative come and state their own side on this particular matter. But if you look at what has been happening, looking at some destructive activities in neighboring Plateau, Nasarawa, good thing you just mentioned the governor of Nasarawa State being in touch with your own governor, even down to Ondo or Oyo. We also had some skirmishes in Delta once. It appears too coordinated to be dismissed as mere Fulani herdsmen. And you just talked about the sophistication in their weaponry. Have you been able to gather any intelligence from the agencies on the activities of these people? Are they truly herdsmen? No, you see, the point I've made earlier is that we have reason to think
that these herdsmen are not just the herdsmen that we used to know that carried light weapons in self-defense, or when the animals were attacked by the cattle were attacked by white animals. But the situation we have really is one that is also baffling to us, because we don't imagine that Fulani herdsmen who are on ordinary grazing mission will carry such sophisticated weapons. But as you pointed out, this situation is happening not just in Benue, but in other parts of the country as well. But the intensity in Benue is unrivaled, is unparalleled, because of the fact that Benue is the food basket of the nation, where most of agricultural activity takes place in the country. Therefore, there is likely to be a higher level of sensitivity in terms of encroachment on the farmlands by the cattle rearers. So this is why we're having this situation very much lingering, very much pronounced in Benue State. Yes, of course, I believe that intelligence reports have been gathered, and that is why it has come to the realization that these people are using very sophisticated weapons. The intelligence reports are being worked upon by Governor Suswam, and that is why he has engaged the Fulani leaders as well. He has convened at least 6 meetings between leaders of the Fulani Herdsmen, the Mieti Allah, and they've worked out various ways of ensuring that the two groups coexist wherever they meet and whenever they meet, so that they can do their businesses without let or hindrance. But unfortunately, this has continued to persist. Let me point out here that Governor Suswam is not engaged in any blame game as to say this group is right or this group is wrong. What he is determined and committed to do is to ensure that all Nigerians that live within Benue State receive protection of government and are allowed to carry out their legitimate business without any provocation, without any let or hindrance. This is his commitment, and this is the reason why he has continued to hold meetings with both the chief community leaders and both the Fulani community leaders, with the traditional authority and with security agencies, and even with religious leaders, to ensure that whatever needs to be done is done, to ensure that there's peace when these communities meet.
All right,
and this has
Dr.
really
Dr. Akwaya, a moment again. I think, let me put this to you. You mentioned Mieti Allah, and Mieti Allah is the umbrella body of the Fulani herdsmen, cattle rearers, and you say you have been, your government have been in touch with the people. Have they agreed that these people who come with sophisticated weapons are actually members of Mieti Allah or Fulani herdsmen?
Yes, several meetings have been held, as I said, with the national leadership of Mieti Allah. They have come to Benue, they have held meetings, and as I said earlier, even His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, was involved, and at the invitation of Governor Suswam, visited Benue State and met with leaders of the various Fulani communities, not just within Benue State, but around the Benue Valley, just to be able to work out solutions. And of course, it doesn't take anything to identify a Fulani herdsman. You see him with cattle, and when you see him moving with cattle for grazing, that is enough evidence that these are Fulani herdsmen. And of course, we know that the traditional Fulani that used to coexist with us, some of them even speak the local language. And as I said, they have traditional jokes as to who is the senior brother, whether they're the chief people or the farmers, the Fulani herdsmen. And they were very friendly. But the influx of the groups that have come in the last 3 years is different from the stock that we used to know. These ones are very hostile. These ones, at the slightest provocation, will open fire and will take life and will destroy. And this is what is causing grave concern to Governor Suswam, and is giving him sleepless night, as every day he is thinking of various ways to make sure that this problem is resolved. It has taxed the resources of the state, as huge sums of money are committed to security operations in terms of maintaining security agencies, in terms of deploying all the security apparatus that is needed to make sure that this is checked. And I can tell you that were it not for the proactive commitment of Governor Suswam, this problem would have escalated in a manner that would have been just imagined.